I read two great interviews with Peter Frampton on the plane out here. Frampton's tour, his farewell tour, is kicking off here in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, at the Hard Rock in a couple weeks. And I got to tell you, I don't really know Peter Frampton. I met him maybe once, but what a class guy, what a nice guy. The way he is handling all of this with what he's going through with his disease and his illness, and the way he is going out is so unbelievably admirable and respectful of his fans and his legacy. And everybody, now I know people who have played with Frampton and know him pretty well, and they say what you see is what you get. He's just such a wonderful, real, genuine guy, and needless to say, a great musician. But there was some great stuff in both of those articles. One was in Classic Rock and one was in Guitar World. And just talking objectively and honestly about his career, he is banking, like, he's recorded already 3 or 4 records. He wants to front load as much music as he can because he doesn't know if he's going to have the ability to play. And before his skills diminish, because for those that haven't heard, Frampton is battling a disease that affects his muscles, and it will take a toll on his ability to play guitar. So he's already recorded 2 blues covers records, and he's working on a couple more records because he wants to have a bunch of stuff that he can roll out if he's unable to play. But his whole way, like, of battling this and approaching this, and don't feel sorry for me, and his whole attitude and demeanor about it and spirit about it is incredible. It really is. I've heard a bunch of interviews with him. I've read a bunch of interviews with him. I've reached out to try to get him on this show because I'd love to talk to him. Just a wonderful guy. Even talking about his appearance, because in the 70s, he was such a pinup, He was known for the hair and the good looks and all that. And, he lost his hair, and he embraced that, and the way he's handled that so well. He even, one of the interviews, he talks about it. He said, isn't it kind of ironic, a guy that was so known for his hair and his looks, one of the first things to go was my hair. And the interviewer asked him about it, and he said, he goes, I was never going to be a guy that was going to throw a wig on and try to fake it. I was never going to be a guy that's going to get plastic surgery and try to preserve my looks and try to look like I still looked 20, 30 years ago, and then you just look freakish. I mean, to me, that's so cool. He is so comfortable in his skin. He's comfortable with his career. He's comfortable with his ability to make music, his appearance. The guy just exudes class and doing things very, very much the right way. And I respect the hell out of him for it. I really do. And looking at Frampton now, I mean, the guy still looks great. Who cares? I mean, I'd much rather see somebody look like that, in natural and real and where they should be at that point in their life, than half of these guys out there that are just so distorted, with pulled back with implants and faces and wigs that are just ludicrous. So more power to Peter Frampton, man. The guy's awesome. He really is. And I wish him nothing but the best on this upcoming final tour. And these interviews, they say in the interviews that he hopes, and he's working with a foundation that can maybe help reverse this. Hopefully he's able to do that at some point. He and I communicate actually on social media, on Twitter. He'll hit me up or comment on my stuff. He follows me, but I just don't know him all that well. And I've been a fan for a long time, so hopefully we'll be able to do something around this final tour. But those interviews really struck me, just the way he came off, and I'm just a really genuine, great guy. Above and beyond, of course, being a great musician. Let us talk to Charlie, who is in Jersey. Hi, Charlie.
Hey, Eddie, long time no speak. How you doing?
I'm great. What do you got today?
I got 2 quickies. I think I mentioned this to you maybe last year sometime, early this year. Everybody keeps talking about these top 20s, and that's a reasonably easy thing to do, especially with the bigger bands. But I think I proposed to you at one point doing a bottom 20, because every band has got their dogs. I mean, I don't care who they. I mean, just pick the shittiest songs that Zeppelin or Kiss or whatever. And mind you, Zeppelin or the Beatles' shittiest songs are probably better than 98% of the stuff that's out there anyway. So that was idea number one. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was if you have any additional information on because we got the 50th anniversary of Let It Be coming up, and apparently Peter Jackson has got a hold of a ton of the footage, and he is going to be recutting a new version of the film. I wonder if you have any insights into that, and I'll take my comments off air. Thanks.
Wow, I have not heard about that at all, Charlie. Peter Jackson, he did, if I'm not mistaken, he did that recent documentary. I think it's called "They Will Not Be Forgotten." I haven't watched it yet, but he actually took, I think it's actual war footage. I think it was World War II footage that was actually shot by the military, and I think he colorized it and he edited it up into this film where it's actually a it's wild what he did. I saw a trailer for it in the theater when it was first coming out, but doesn't seem like it did very well because it's out already on DVD and stuff. Not a lot of people talked about it, but it looked fascinating what the guy did because he actually took military footage, real footage, and he turned it into a story. Like it wasn't actors; it was actually people who fought in the war, and he worked with the film and digitized it and colorized it. I don't know; it's wild. So when you say Peter Jackson working on something like a Beatle, like Let It Be, I mean that it's endless the vision this guy has and what he could do to that. But that's the first I've heard of it. What was his? Oh, the bottom top 20. Not a bad idea, but. One of the things that I don't agree with is he said, doing a regular top 20, that's easy. Well, no, it's not. That's the whole point. It's not. It's not easy to sequence and hold to 20 an artist's greatest songs. That's the whole point. Case in point, we're going to do the Black Sabbath next. As I just said, good luck on that. That's going to be really, really brutal. At least I think. Especially when you factor in the Dio stuff, the Gillan stuff, how that's going to slot in with the Ozzy stuff. I mean, I don't think it's easy at all to do that. We'll see. But I don't know. The idea of doing like the 20 worst songs of an artist, it could be fun. But I don't know if I'm quite there yet, ready to do it. I think we have to exhaust the top 20s a little bit more and celebrate the best. I still think that's a pretty fun exercise to do. Tommy in New York. Hi, Tommy. You're on Trunk Nation.
Hey, Edward. How you doing?
Tommy. I'm good, Tommy. You're on the air. Go ahead, man.
Hey.
We got you. Go ahead.
Two things. I got one question. Did Steve Brown, that guy Steve Brown, did he play at your 30th anniversary party?
Steve Brown from Trickster, who also subbed in Def Leppard a few times for Vivian and Phil, indeed did play at the 30th anniversary party for my terrestrial show, which is a number of years ago already. And, yeah, he was up there with all of those guys, all of those all-star musicians on that legendary night where Ace and Peter played together, to this day still for the last time ever on stage. So, yes, Steve was a part of it and was one of the anchor musicians that night.
Yeah, that was because, we were there, and I just remember hearing you talk about him. And he, when he came out, my buddy and I just looked at each other. We're like, who the hell is that guy? He kicked ass, man. He was amazing.
He's a great player. He's definitely an Eddie Van Halen descendant. He is also a great singer and writer, talented guy. Steve was one of the main dudes in the band Trickster from Jersey in the early 90s and had a couple hits with that band. And these days he does a lot of different things, including playing in an 80s tribute act called Rubik's Cube that he does. But he's a jack of all trades, Steve is, and he's a talented guy, and I'm glad that he's finding some great opportunities out there right now, and including, when he has to, he's gotten the call a few times now to actually play in Def Leppard when Phil and Vivian has not been able to make a gig. So that says it all, because you got to be able to play and sing that stuff really well.
Yeah, one more thing. I was reading
Is that it,
Kenny
Tommy?
Jones's book. Well, I was reading Kenny Jones's book from The Who, and he mentions like back when he was in the band, when they had a band meeting on what to invest their money in, that there was a Keith Moon hologram all the way back then. And he doesn't give any particulars about it. He just said that it was a little creepy to see and to watch. But, you know, I didn't realize they had it all the way back then. So I'll take the rest of your comments off the air. Have a good day.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy.